Under plan and religious commitment, the mass departure of Jews to an uninhabited and deserted area in the vicinity of Jerusalem is the largest migration in the modern human history, which begins under the shadow of world powers without a drop of bloodshed and lasting for 30 years. It continued in full force until the announcement of the State of Israel. Before World War I, only 14,000 Jews lived quietly in the two semi-desert cities of Jaffa and Tel Aviv. 20 years had passed since the Zionist movement was tarnished. According to the protocols written in 1896, a clear goal was set for the Jews around the world that they would return to the Holy Land of Jerusalem, wait for the coming Messiah, and then the establishment of a world government from the Temple of Solomon. Britain needed the help of America in this war, which would not have been possible without the powerful Jewish lobby there. During this era of World War I, the movement for the separation of Jerusalem from the Ottoman Caliphate was started by the few thousand Jews of Jaffa and Tel Aviv at the behest of Britain. These few thousand Jews also joined the Arab population there and began colluding with opposing coalition forces. Settled on the shores of the Mediterranean, the Turks ordered the entire population to vacate the two areas for security reasons, as they believed that majority could spy on them. Until then, the Jews living there wore the garb of Arab nationalism. On April 6, 1917, the entire population was evacuated, including both Muslims and Jews. On that day, it was the Jewish holiday Passover. All over the Europe and even the German newspapers of the Turks called it a Great Depression only on the Jews, because by that time the world media was under Jewish control. The Muslims were settled in Alexandria. However, the Jews were sheltered by the Britain. As the British and French forces jointly occupied the Sinai Desert in southern Syria and Egypt, the British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour wrote a letter to the leader of the global Jewish community and the beacon of the founding family of the banking system, Lord Rothschild, mentioning that Britain considers Jews all over the world to be one nation and recognizes their right to return to the Holy Land. This letter is popularly known as the Balfour Declaration. As soon as the Britain occupation of the Arab territories was completed in the summer of 1918, these exiled Jews were resettled. The area, now called Palestine, Jordan and Israel, became part of the Britain after the unequal and wasteful division. Prior to this conquest, Jews from all over the world used to come to Jerusalem only for a few days to perform religious rites. When the British Mandate came, the Jews began to build fortified houses on the hills of Jerusalem, which looked like a fence from afar, while the white limestone houses of the poor Palestinians at the foot of the mountain were clearly visible. This was followed by a continuous return of Jews throughout the region. This journey to settle in and around Jerusalem is called Aliyah in Jewish religious terms. The Jews, who were expelled from Jerusalem by the Roman general Titus in 70 AD, began to return in secret from 1881 to 1903, almost 2,000 years later. They were mostly Jews from Eastern Europe, which was then part of the Ottoman Caliphate. They all belonged to affluent and wealthy families. When these Jews faced issues of employment, harsh weather and poverty in Palestine, they returned to their homes. In about 35,000 Jews, only 3,000 remained in Palestine, the ones who were eagerly waiting for their Messiah. This is called the first Aliyah or first return in Jewish history. During the same period, the Jews of Yemen also began to settle there. The Jews of Yemen and the Jews who remained in Palestine in Eastern Europe began to build small settlements of few houses throughout the semi-desert area. The first settlement was Rishon LeZion, which was built in 1882 on the coast 8 kilometers from Tel Aviv. Although less than a dozen were Jews settled there at that time, but today it is Israel's fourth largest city, known as Gushtan, having a population of 260,000. 30 such small settlements in the first Aliyah drove like pegs all over the desert, so that tomorrow all of them were to be connected and spread like a net in the area. The last population of the first Aliyah was Kfar Saba in 1904. This area of a few Jews is the largest district of Israel today, with a population of 120,000. All these small settlements are called Moshva in Hebrew. Thus, a few thousand Jews spread throughout the region like small cancerous tumors, The aim was to engulf the entire region one day. All these Jews who have settled in the land of Palestine to this day did not come there for any economic purpose, business expediency or a pleasant environment. There was no drinking water available at that time. It was a barren desert, barren land, devoid of urban life. They came to establish a world government. The second return or second Aliyah in 1904, was purely ideological and religious. The Zionist movement had ordered Jews around the world not to live in a country where they were being persecuted. The communist revolution was coming to Russia and hatred of Jews was on the rise. The majority of Jews fled and settled in the United States, but 40,000 Jews dreamed of a global government of their Messiah and settled in the area of Tel Aviv, which was a small desert village. The Jews did not settle there as a common refugee, but as a cantonment. They formed their own private collective and defensive army called the Hazamar. When Britain took control of the region, the Third Aliyah began, which lasted until 1923. In Palestine, where Jews had built a few homesteads, began to settle like beehives. By the end of the Third Aliyah in 1924, more than 90,000 Jews had settled. Now, the Jews of America began to make a move. A law in the United States was passed stating, since the quota for Jews to enter the United States has expired, no more Jews would come here. After that, Jews from all over the world started settling in Palestine only under British auspices in the Fourth and Fifth Aliyahs. They all settled around these small old settlements. An armed private army would be formed for each population. Thus, these settlements were not cantonments. When the Holocaust began in Europe, Jews living there also began to come here. When a majority gathered in the area, Britain told the United Nations on April 12, 1947, "We want to leave Palestine, so find a solution." The United Nations adopted Resolution 181-11, on November 29, 1947, which established the Jewish states of Tel Aviv, Jaffa and Beersheba, while allowing Gaza and the West Bank to remain with Palestine. The entire city of Jerusalem will be under UN supervision. The British withdrew in early May 1948 and the State of Israel was established on May 14. A state whose purpose was not to establish a homeland for the Jews, but to establish a world government over the whole world.